My name is Robert Castellano, and I am 62 years old. 2 months ago, I stood in the doorway of my business partner's office and watched paramedics zip James Brennan into a body bag. My daughter-in-law Vanessa was beside me, her hand on my arm, her voice breaking with what I thought was shock. "Dad," she whispered, "this is terrible. That secretary Maya. I saw her leaving his office late last night. She looked guilty. I think she did something to him." I believed her. God, I believed every single word. 4 hours later, the police arrested Maya Rodriguez at her apartment in Queens. She was 27 years old, working 2 jobs to support her younger brother through college. I watched them take her away, and all I felt was cold fury. But the truth, the real truth, wasn't what Vanessa told me. The truth came from Diego, our night janitor, a quiet man from El Salvador who'd worked in our building for 15 years. He came to my office 5 days after James's funeral, carrying his phone with trembling hands. "Mr. Castellano," he said, his English heavy with accent, "I need to show you something. I clean offices late. I see things. You need to see what I see." What I saw on that security camera footage destroyed my entire world. It proved that the woman I had welcomed into my family, the one I trusted, was the real killer. And Maya, the young woman whose life I helped destroy, was completely innocent. Before you hear the rest of this story, tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and please like and subscribe if you've ever discovered that the person you trusted most turned out to be a monster. Let me take you back to the beginning, to when my life still made sense. James Brennan and I founded Castellano Brennan Construction in 1989. We were both 29 years old, fresh out of NYU, full of dreams and stupidity. We started with one small apartment renovation in Brooklyn. 33 years later, we had 47 employees and contracts across New York and New Jersey. James was more than my business partner. He was my brother. We built this company with our bare hands, working 16-hour days, missing family dinners, sacrificing everything. My wife Elena died of breast cancer in 2015. James's wife left him in 2003. The business was all we had. We trusted each other completely. I handled client relationships and bidding. James managed operations and finances. We never questioned each other's decisions, never doubted each other's loyalty. We had an understanding that when one of us retired or passed away, the other would buy out their share at fair market value. Our company was worth about $8 million. That buyout would be substantial. I have one son, Michael, 34 years old. I'll be honest with you. Michael was never much interested in the construction business. He went to art school, tried to be a photographer, failed at that, then worked various restaurant jobs before finally settling into managing a coffee shop in Manhattan. I loved my son, but I couldn't understand him. I had built something real, something solid, and he wanted to take pictures of buildings instead of building them. 3 years ago, Michael married Vanessa Park. She was 29, beautiful, smart, worked in marketing at a pharmaceutical company. She made good money, had her life together. I thought she was exactly what Michael needed, someone stable to balance out his artistic dreaming. At their wedding, Vanessa pulled me aside. "Dad," she called me Dad from day one. "I want you to know I see how hard you've worked. Michael's told me everything about the company, about your sacrifice. I respect that so much. I want to help however I can." I was touched. Finally, someone in my family who understood business, who valued what I had built. Vanessa started coming to the office occasionally, bringing lunch for James and me, asking questions about projects, showing genuine interest. James liked her too. "You're lucky, Bobby," he'd say. "Finally got some business sense in the family." About a year ago, James started having health problems. He was 58, overweight, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. He'd had a minor heart attack 2 years before. His doctor put him on multiple medications, beta blockers, statins, blood thinners. He kept his pills in his office desk, took them religiously every morning. I worried about him constantly. "James, slow down, take a vacation, let me handle more." But he wouldn't listen. "We're building something, Bobby. We can't stop now. We're so close to landing the Parsons contract." The Parsons contract was huge, a $4.2 million commercial renovation in downtown Manhattan. It would be our biggest job ever. We'd been working on the bid for 6 months. About 6 months ago, we hired Maya Rodriguez as our office secretary. Our previous secretary had retired, and we needed someone to handle phones, scheduling, basic bookkeeping. Maya walked into the interview wearing a modest dress and carrying a folder of references. She was 27, lived with her family in Queens, was taking night classes in accounting at Queens College. Mr. Castellano, Mr. Brennan, she said, shaking our hands firmly. I know I'm young, but I'm a hard worker. I'm supporting my brother through his last year at Columbia. I need this job, and I promise you won't regret hiring me. Something about her reminded me of myself at that age. Hungry, determined, we hired her on the spot. Maya was excellent. She came in early, stayed late when needed, kept our messy office organized. She was respectful, professional. James particularly appreciated her because she understood his medication schedule and would remind him when it was time to take his pills. Mr. Brennan, it's 9 a.m. Don't forget your medication, she'd say, bringing him water. But about 2 months ago, Vanessa started making comments. She had started coming to the office more frequently, said she was interested in learning about the business, maybe helping with marketing. Michael had mentioned he might want to join the company eventually, so I encouraged her involvement. Dad, Vanessa said, one evening at dinner at my house in New Rochelle, I've noticed something about Maya. She's always asking James about his medication, about his health issues. Don't you think that's a bit invasive? Why would a secretary need to know so much about his medical details? I frowned. She's just being helpful, making sure he takes his pills on time. James forgets sometimes. Maybe, Vanessa said, but her voice was skeptical. But Dad, I've also noticed she's always in the office late, and she has access to everything. The files, the finances, the safe combination. Do you really know her that well? I hadn't thought about it like that. Maya did work late sometimes, but she was finishing projects, organizing files. She'd never given us any reason not to trust her. The next week, Vanessa brought it up again. She had stopped by the office and apparently had a conversation with Maya. Dad, I asked Maya about her family, just making small talk. She mentioned her brother is at Columbia. Do you know how expensive Columbia is? Over $60,000 a year. How does a secretary afford that? You're only paying her $45,000 a year. That night, I couldn't sleep. I started thinking about it. How was Maya's family affording Columbia tuition? Was she in debt? Could she be desperate enough to steal? The next morning, I mentioned it to James. James, do you know much about Maya's financial situation? He looked surprised. No. Why would I? She does her job well. That's all that matters. It's just Vanessa mentioned her brothers at Columbia. That's expensive. I'm wondering if maybe she's under financial pressure. James shook his head. Bobby, are you really going to start suspecting our secretary because your daughter-in-law made some comment? Maya's been nothing but reliable. Don't let Vanessa plant seeds of doubt. But the seed was already planted. I started watching Maya more carefully. I noticed she did stay late often. She did ask about James's medication frequently. She did have access to our financial records. 2 weeks before James died, Vanessa came to me with something more concrete. Dad, I need to show you something. I've been reviewing the bank statements, just out of curiosity, trying to learn the business. There are some withdrawals that don't match up. Small amounts, $200 here, $500 there, always in cash. They're coded as petty cash, but there's no record of what they were used for. She showed me the statements on her laptop. She was right. Over the past 3 months, there were about $3,800 in unexplained cash withdrawals. My stomach turned. Who has access to make these withdrawals? I asked. According to the bank records, either you, James, or anyone with the company debit card. Maya has the company card for office supplies and expenses. That night, I confronted James. James, there are some cash withdrawals I'm concerned about. Do you know anything about them? He looked confused. Cash withdrawals? No, I don't deal with the petty cash. That's Maya's department. Why? Are you really still on this? James, there's $3,800 missing over 3 months. That's not nothing. He sighed, clearly frustrated. Bobby, Maya probably used it for office supplies, coffee, cleaning products. I don't know. She's not a thief. You're being paranoid because Vanessa is in your ear. Maybe we should check the receipts, I insisted. Fine. Ask her tomorrow. The next day, I asked Maya about the cash withdrawals. She looked surprised and a bit hurt. Mr. Castellano, yes, I withdrew cash for various office expenses. I should have kept better receipts. I'm sorry. Some were for the cleaning service that only takes cash, some for coffee supplies, some for emergency repairs. I can try to remember and write it all down if you'd like. Something about her answer didn't satisfy me, though I couldn't pinpoint why. That evening, Vanessa came over. Did you ask her about the money? Yes. She said it was for office expenses, but couldn't provide receipts. Vanessa nodded slowly. Dad, I don't want to overstep, but I've been doing some research on employee theft. Small amounts first, then it escalates. And Dad, think about it. She has access to James's medication. She knows he has a heart condition. If something happened to James, you'd inherit his half of the business, right? The $4 million buyout? I stared at her, shocked. Vanessa, what are you suggesting? I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying, think about who benefits if something happens to James, and think about who has the access and opportunity. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but a small, dark part of my brain started making connections. If James died, I would buy out his share. The company would be entirely mine. I could retire, sell it, make Michael a partner, do whatever I wanted, but I would never. I pushed the thought away. Vanessa, that's insane. Maya's a good person. Is she, though? Dad, you barely know her. She's been here 6 months. How much do you really know about her family, her background, her financial desperation? I'm just asking you to be careful. The next week was James's 58th birthday. We had a small celebration in the office, cake and coffee. Maya had organized it, bought the cake, even got him a card that everyone signed. James seemed happy, healthier than he'd been in months. Bobby, he said that evening, as we locked up, stop worrying so much. Everything's good. The Parsons contract is almost ours. We're going to be fine. That was the last real conversation I ever had with my business partner. 5 days later, on a Tuesday night in early December, I got a call at 11:47 p.m. It was building security. Mr. Castellano, you need to come to the office. There's been an incident with Mr. Brennan. I drove from New Rochelle to our office in Midtown Manhattan in 35 minutes, my heart pounding the entire way. When I got there were already 2 police cars and an ambulance. The security guard met me at the entrance. Mr. Castellano, I'm so sorry. I found Mr. Brennan in his office about 40 minutes ago. I called 911 immediately, but it was too late. They think it was a heart attack. I ran up to the 3rd floor. The paramedics were in James's office. One of them stopped me at the door. Sir, you can't go in there. Are you family? I'm his business partner. I'm the closest thing to family he has. What happened? The paramedic's face was grim. It appears to be cardiac arrest, possibly a heart attack. Given his medical history, it's not unexpected. I'm very sorry for your loss. I looked past him into the office. James was on the floor, his eyes closed, his face gray. My friend, my brother, the man I'd built a life with, was gone. I felt my legs give out. Someone caught me, helped me to a chair. The next few minutes were a blur. Police asked me questions. When did I last see him? Was he alone in the office? Did he seem distressed? I answered mechanically. I had left the office at 6 p.m. James said he was staying late to finish reviewing the Parsons contract proposal. He seemed fine, maybe a bit tired. He was alone as far as I knew. Then I saw her. Vanessa, rushing off the elevator, Michael beside her. How did they know to come? Dad, Vanessa said, kneeling beside me. Michael called your house when you didn't answer your cell. The police contacted us. I'm so sorry. She held my hand, and I felt grateful she was there. What happened? Michael asked, looking pale. Heart attack, they think. He was working late. Vanessa's face changed slightly. Working late? Was anyone else here? Any of the staff? The police officer answered. The security guard found him at 11:15 p.m. The office was locked from the inside. It appears Mr. Brennan was alone. What about Maya? Vanessa asked suddenly. Your secretary. Was she here tonight? I looked at her, confused. I don't know. Why would she be here at night? Dad, Vanessa said quietly, pulling me aside, away from the police. I drove by the office tonight around 9:30 p.m. I was coming home from a client dinner in the city. I saw Maya leaving the building. She was walking quickly, looking nervous. I almost stopped to say hi, but she rushed into the subway before I could. My blood ran cold. You saw Maya leaving at 9:30? Yes, I'm sure it was her. She was wearing that blue coat she always wears. And Dad, she had her bag, but she was also carrying something else, like a container or a bottle. I remember thinking it was odd. I turned back to the police officer. Officer, our secretary Maya Rodriguez may have been in the building tonight around 9:30. My daughter-in-law saw her leaving. The officer wrote it down. We'll need to talk to her. Do you have her contact information? I gave them Maya's phone number and address, my hands shaking. The paramedics took James's body away. I stayed in the office until 3 a.m., answering questions, trying to process what was happening. Vanessa stayed with me the whole time. As we finally left, she put her arm around me. Dad, I know this is horrible timing, but we need to consider something. James died suddenly, alone in his office, and Maya was here. Maya, who's been acting suspicious, who had financial motive, who had access to his medication. You need to prepare yourself for the possibility that this wasn't natural causes. Vanessa, that's a serious accusation. I know. But Dad, James was on blood thinners and heart medication. If someone gave him the wrong dose or mixed his medications wrong, it could cause a heart attack. And Maya was always handling his pills. I wanted to tell her she was wrong, that she was being paranoid, but doubt had already taken root in my mind. The next morning, I got a call from the medical examiner's office. They were performing an autopsy, standard procedure for any unexpected death. The results would take a few days. The police called me that afternoon. They had interviewed Maya. She admitted to being in the office the night before. She said James had asked her to stay late to help him organize the Parsons contract documents. She left around 9:15 p.m., she claimed. James was alive and seemed fine when she left. The police asked if James had any enemies, anyone who might want to hurt him. I said no, but then I mentioned the financial irregularities, the missing $3,800, how Maya had access to his medication. The detective's expression changed. Mr. Castellano, are you suggesting Miss Rodriguez might have had something to do with Mr. Brennan's death? I hesitated. I don't know. I'm just telling you the facts. 3 days later, the autopsy results came back. James had died from acute heart failure caused by a massive overdose of his blood thinner medication, warfarin. The levels in his blood were 5 times the therapeutic dose. It was not an accident. Someone had given him a lethal amount. The police came to my office. Mr. Castellano, we need to ask you some questions about Maya Rodriguez. Did she have access to Mr. Brennan's medication? Yes. She knew where he kept his pills. She often reminded him to take them. Was anyone else in the office that night besides Miss Rodriguez and Mr. Brennan? Not that I know of. Mr. Castellano, we've reviewed the building's entry logs. Miss Rodriguez's keycard was used to access the building at 7:04 p.m. and to exit at 9:17 p.m. During that time, she was alone with Mr. Brennan for over 2 hours. We've also reviewed Mr. Brennan's office computer. Someone deleted several files that evening, including financial records. The deletion occurred at 8:43 p.m. My hands were shaking. So you think Maya killed him? We have evidence suggesting she had motive, opportunity, and means. We're going to bring her in for questioning. They arrested Maya the next morning. I wasn't there, but Vanessa told me about it. She had somehow heard from her contact in the DA's office. Dad, they found traces of warfarin in Maya's car, in a bottle in her trunk. She claims she doesn't know how it got there, but the evidence is pretty damning. I felt sick. I had trusted her. I had welcomed her into our office, our business family, And she had killed James. For what? Money? To cover up her theft? The fury built inside me. At James's funeral 3 days later, I stood by his grave, feeling hollow and angry. Vanessa stood beside me, her hand on my arm. Michael was crying openly. About 50 people came, employees, clients, old friends. I gave the eulogy, but I don't remember what I said. All I could think was that James had been murdered, and the person responsible was sitting in a jail cell. After the funeral, Vanessa drove me home. Dad, I know this is hard, but you need to start thinking about the business. You're the sole owner now. The buyout will go to James's estate, but that's just paperwork. The company is yours. You need to decide what to do. I hadn't even thought about it. The business, our life's work, was now entirely mine, worth $8 million, all mine. I can't think about that now. I understand. But Dad, when you're ready, Michael and I want to help. Maybe this is the time to bring Michael into the company. Give him a real role. We could modernize, expand. James was great, but he was old school. We could take Castellano Construction to the next level. Something about her tone bothered me, but I was too exhausted to analyze it. Over the next week, I moved through life like a ghost. The DA's office built their case against Maya. They found that she had purchased a bottle of warfarin online 3 weeks before James's death, using a prepaid credit card. They found deleted text messages on her phone, conversations with her brother about needing money urgently. They found that her brother at Columbia was about to be expelled for unpaid tuition. The motive was clear. Maya needed money desperately. She had been stealing small amounts from the company. When James started to notice, when I started asking questions, she decided to eliminate him. With James dead, there would be confusion, and she could steal more during the transition. Or maybe she thought I would die too, and she could really clean out the company accounts. The evidence seemed overwhelming. Maya's lawyer claimed she was being framed, that someone had planted the warfarin in her car, that someone else had deleted those files. But who? Why? The trial was set for 3 months away. I threw myself into work, trying not to think about the gaping hole in my life where James used to be. Vanessa came to the office almost daily now, helping me sort through everything, making decisions about the business. Dad, we should probably change the company name. Castellano Brennan Construction is too painful now. Let's just call it Castellano Construction. I agreed. And Dad, I've been reviewing the books. James wasn't managing finances as well as we thought. There are some inefficiencies. I have a marketing background. I could help streamline things. I let her. I was grateful someone cared. Michael started coming to the office too, learning the business, talking about joining full-time. It was what I had always wanted. My son finally interested in what I had built. But something felt wrong. I couldn't pinpoint it. Then, 5 days after James's funeral, on a Friday afternoon, Diego the janitor knocked on my office door. Diego was 58 years old, a quiet man from El Salvador who had worked in our building for 15 years. He cleaned the offices at night, was always polite, always invisible. I barely knew him. Mr. Castellano, he said, his accent thick. I need to talk to you. Is private? I gestured for him to come in and close the door. He sat down, his weathered hands clasping a cell phone. Mr. Castellano, I'm very sorry about Mr. Brennan. He was good man, always kind to me. Thank you, Diego. Mr. Castellano, I need show you something. I no want to get involved. I no want trouble. But I cannot sleep. My wife say, I must tell truth. He put his phone on my desk. I clean offices every night, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. I see many things. Most time, I say nothing, not my business. But this is different. My heart started pounding. What are you saying, Diego? The night Mr. Brennan died, I was cleaning. I have recording. I show you. He pulled up a video on his phone. This is from security camera in hallway. I not supposed to have access, but my cousin work in building security. He give me login so I can check if I leave my cart somewhere. That night, I check camera because I hear noises. Want to make sure is safe. He pressed play. The video was grainy, black and white, time-stamped 8:52 p.m. on the night James died. I could see the hallway outside our office suite, and there, clear as day, I saw someone entering our office. But it wasn't Maya. It was Vanessa. I felt my blood turn to ice. Wait, go back, play that again. Diego replayed it. There was no doubt. Vanessa, wearing a dark coat, entered our office at 8:52 p.m. The timestamp continued. At 9:04 p.m., she left, walking quickly, carrying her purse and what looked like a small bottle. Diego, is there more? Yes, Mr. Castellano, there is more. You need to see all. He showed me another clip from 9:15 p.m. Maya leaving the building just as she had told the police. She looked normal, not rushed, not guilty. Then Diego showed me something else. This from 2 weeks before. Same time, late night. Another video, time-stamped 2 weeks earlier, 10:34 p.m. Vanessa entering the office building. She was there for 23 minutes, then left. And this from 3 weeks before Mr. Brennan died. Another video. Vanessa, again, entering the building late at night. Mr. Castellano, your daughter-in-law come to office many times at night. Many times. Always when Mr. Brennan working late. I see her 5, 6 times over 2 months. I think maybe she working with you, helping business. But then I hear she tell police she see Maya leaving that night. She no mention she was there too. That, when I know something wrong, I couldn't breathe. I ran to my private bathroom and vomited. Diego waited patiently. When I came back, my hands shaking, I asked, Diego, is there video from inside our office? No, Mr. Castellano. Only hallway. But I have more. I take pictures. He showed me photos on his phone. Vanessa's car, parked on the street near our building on 3 different dates. All late at night. All times when I wasn't at the office. Why didn't you tell anyone? Why didn't you tell the police? Diego looked down. Mr. Castellano, I am immigrant. I have green card now, but I afraid of police. I afraid they no believe me. I afraid I lose my job. But my wife, she say I have to tell truth. She say if innocent woman go to jail, that is sin. So I come to you. I need copies of all of this. Everything you have. I already make copies. Is on this USB drive. He handed me a small USB drive. Mr. Castellano, I'm very sorry. I think your family, they no good to you. After Diego left, I sat in my office for 2 hours, staring at the wall. My daughter-in-law, the woman I had welcomed into my family, the woman I had trusted. She had been in the office the night James died. She had been there multiple times before. She had access. She had opportunity. But why? What was her motive? Then it hit me like a freight train. With James dead, I became the sole owner of an $8 million company. Vanessa had been pushing Michael to join the business. She had been pushing me to make changes, to modernize. She had been reviewing the financials. She was positioning herself and Michael to inherit everything when I died. But I was healthy. I could live another 20 years. Unless something happened to me too. I grabbed my phone and called my lawyer, Marcus Webb, a man I had known for 30 years. Marcus, I need to see you immediately. Tonight. It's an emergency. An hour later, I was in his office in White Plains, showing him the videos. Marcus watched in silence, his face growing more serious with each clip. Robert, this is serious. If Vanessa was in the office that night, she had opportunity to poison James. But we need to understand motive. What does she gain? If James dies, I inherit his share. If I die, Michael inherits everything. Vanessa probably figured she could manipulate Michael, control the company through him. Maybe she planned to kill me too. Make it look like stress from James's death. Marcus shook his head. That's speculation. But Robert, there's something else. You need to know this. 2 weeks ago, Vanessa came to my office. She wanted to discuss your will. My stomach dropped. What? She said she was concerned about your health, wanted to make sure everything was in order. She asked specific questions about how your estate would be distributed if you died suddenly. I told her I couldn't discuss your private matters with her. She got quite upset, said as Michael's wife. She had a right to know. Why didn't you tell me? I thought she was just being an overprotective daughter-in-law. I didn't think it was significant. But now, with this video evidence, I'm thinking it was reconnaissance. She was planning something. Robert, I felt sick again. What do I do? You go to the police. You show them this evidence. And Robert, you need to be very careful. If Vanessa realizes you know, you could be in danger. I left Marcus's office at midnight. I drove home to New Rochelle, my mind racing. I kept checking my rearview mirror, paranoid that someone was following me. When I got home, I locked every door, checked every window. I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, I went to the police precinct. I asked to speak to Detective Sarah Morrison, the detective handling James's case. Detective, I have new evidence. Evidence that proves Maya Rodriguez is innocent. I showed her everything, the videos, the timestamps, Diego's statement. She watched in silence. Mr. Castellano, this is significant. This places Vanessa Park in the office during the time frame of the murder. But it doesn't prove she killed Mr. Brennan. She could have been there for legitimate reasons. Detective, she lied. She told you she saw Maya leaving but didn't mention she was there herself. That's consciousness of guilt. You're right. We'll need to bring her in for questioning. There's more, I said. I told her about Vanessa's visit to my lawyer, about her questions about my estate, about how she had been pushing to change the business. Detective, I think she planned to kill me too. I think she wanted to inherit the company through Michael. Detective Morrison's expression hardened. Mr. Castellano, we'll investigate this thoroughly. In the meantime, I need you to act normal. Don't let Vanessa know you suspect her. Can you do that? I nodded, but I wasn't sure I could. 2 days later, the police called Vanessa in for questioning. They said they had some follow-up questions about what she saw the night of James's death. Vanessa went willingly, thinking she was just a witness. Michael called me, confused. Dad, the police are questioning Vanessa again. Do you know why? I don't know, son. Just let them do their job. 3 hours later, Detective Morrison called me. Mr. Castellano, we have a confession. Well, partial confession. Vanessa admitted to being in the office the night Mr. Brennan died. She said she came to drop off some marketing materials for you, saw Mr. Brennan working, chatted with him briefly, then left. She said she didn't mention it before because she didn't think it was relevant. That's obviously a lie. Why would she come at 9 p.m. to drop off materials? We know. We pushed harder. We told her we had evidence she had been there multiple times. We told her we knew about the warfarin purchase, that we could trace the prepaid card. We told her about her visit to your lawyer. There was a long pause. Mr. Castellano, she broke down. She admitted to everything. I couldn't speak. She said she and Michael have been drowning in debt. Michael's coffee shop was failing, losing money every month. They have $180,000 in credit card debt and business loans. They were facing bankruptcy. She said she researched elder financial abuse cases and realized if James died, you would inherit his share, making you very wealthy. Then, if you died, Michael would inherit everything. She said she planned to help you have an accident after a suitable grieving period. Oh my God. She purchased the warfarin online using a prepaid card registered under a fake name. Over 3 weeks, she visited the office late at night when James was working, gaining his trust, chatting with him. She told him she was interested in learning the business. On the night of the murder, she arrived at 8:52 p.m. James was alone. She offered to help him organize documents. She said she needed a break and offered to make coffee for both of them. She crushed several warfarin tablets, mixed them into his coffee. She stayed until he started feeling ill, then left at 9:04 p.m. By the time Maya arrived at 9:15 p.m., James was already poisoned but still conscious. He died about 2 hours later. How did she frame Maya? She planted the warfarin bottle in Maya's car the next day. She had stolen Maya's car keys from her purse one day when Maya left her bag on her desk. She made a copy, then returned them. She also sent those text messages from Maya's phone about needing money. She briefly had access to Maya's phone when Maya left it charging in the break room, and she deleted the financial files from James's computer remotely. She had observed him entering his password weeks earlier. I felt like I was falling into a black hole. What about the missing cash? The $3,800. That was her too. She had gotten the company debit card information from your desk once when she visited. She made small withdrawals to make it look like Maya was stealing. She wanted you to suspect Maya, to start doubting her, so that when James died, you'd immediately blame her. And Michael, did he know? She swears he didn't. She says she did this to save their marriage, to give them a future. She says Michael would never have approved. We believe her. Michael seems genuinely shocked. I felt a tiny bit of relief. At least my son wasn't a murderer. Mr. Castellano. She also confessed to planning your death. She was going to wait 6 months. Then she was going to tamper with your car brakes. Make it look like an accident. With both James and you gone, Michael would inherit everything, and she'd finally be out of debt and wealthy. I sat down hard, my legs giving out. We're charging her with first-degree murder, attempted murder, fraud, evidence tampering, and about 6 other charges. She's being held without bail. Mr. Castellano, I'm so sorry. And I'm sorry we arrested the wrong person. Maya Rodriguez will be released immediately, and we'll be recommending the city to pay her a substantial settlement. I thanked her and hung up. Then I called Michael. Son, we need to talk. Come to my house, right now. When Michael arrived an hour later, his face was red, his eyes swollen from crying. Dad, they're saying Vanessa killed James. They're saying she was going to kill you, too. This can't be real. Tell me this isn't real. I poured us both whiskey. Son, it's real, she confessed. But why? Why would she do this? Money, debt, greed. I don't know. Maybe she thought she loved you enough to become a monster. Michael broke down. Dad, I swear I didn't know. I swear. I would never hurt James. I loved him like an uncle. And you're my father. How could she think I'd want this? I believed him. I could see the genuine horror and grief in his eyes. I know, son, I know. Over the next few weeks, the truth came out in the media. Daughter-in-law murders business partner, planned to kill father-in-law for inheritance. The story was everywhere. Our company was in the news. Clients called, shocked. Employees were traumatized. Michael filed for divorce immediately. He moved back in with me temporarily, couldn't bear to be in the apartment he had shared with Vanessa. And Maya. God, Maya. The charges against her were dropped with prejudice. The DA held a press conference, apologizing for the wrongful arrest. But the damage was done. Maya's face had been on the news, labeled as a suspected killer. She had spent 9 days in jail. She had been suspended from Queen's College, pending investigation. Her reputation was destroyed. I had to see her. I had to apologize. I found out she was staying with her family in their apartment in Elmhurst, Queens. I drove there on a Saturday morning, bringing a lawyer with me, Marcus Webb. Her mother answered the door. She was a small woman in her 50s, and when she saw me, her face hardened with rage. What do you want? She asked in accented English. Mrs. Rodriguez, I need to speak to Maya. I need to apologize. Please. You destroy my daughter. She lose her job. She cannot go back to school. People think she is killer. You did this. I know, and I'm so sorry. Please, just 5 minutes. She stared at me for a long moment, then stepped aside. Maya was sitting on the couch, her brother Mateo beside her. She looked small, broken. When she saw me, she didn't move. Miss Rodriguez, I said, my voice shaking. I don't know how to begin. I don't know how to say this, but I am so deeply sorry. I was wrong. I believed lies. I let my daughter-in-law manipulate me. I helped destroy your life, and there's nothing I can say to make it right. She looked at me with empty eyes. Mr. Castellano, do you know what it's like to be arrested for murder? To have police handcuff you in your own home while your family watches? To sit in a cell for 9 days, knowing you're innocent but powerless to prove it? To have your name in the newspaper, your face on TV, labeled as a killer? I can't imagine. No, you can't. And do you know what the worst part is? I cared about Mr. Brennan. I liked him, He was kind to me. He was helping me, giving me advice about accounting school. And you thought I could murder him? You thought I was capable of that? Tears were streaming down my face. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Vanessa planted evidence. She manipulated everything. But that's not an excuse. I should have trusted you. I should have investigated before believing her accusations. I failed you. Yes, you did. Her brother Matteo spoke up, his voice angry. Mr. Castellano, my sister was trying to put me through Columbia. She was working 2 jobs, taking night classes, sacrificing everything. She's the best person I know. And you treated her like a criminal. I know. And I'm here to try to make it right. I know I can't undo what happened, but I can try to help now. Maya, I want to pay for your legal fees. All of them. I want to pay for your schooling, Queen's College, and if you want to continue to a 4-year degree, I'll pay for that too. I want to give you a settlement, compensation for what you went through, separate from anything the city gives you. I'm thinking $500,000, her mother gasped. Maya just looked at me. You think money fixes this? No, I don't. But it's all I have to offer. And Maya, I will testify. I will go on every news station, every newspaper, and I will tell them you are innocent, that you were framed, that you are a victim. I will clear your name publicly. She was quiet for a long time. Mr. Castellano, I don't want your money to clear your conscience. If I take it, it's because my brother deserves to finish Columbia without debt. It's because I deserve compensation for 9 days of hell. But don't think this means I forgive you. I don't know if I ever will. I understand. I don't deserve your forgiveness. There's something else, she said quietly. Mr. Brennan, the day before he died, he told me something. He said you were like a brother to him. He said you'd built something meaningful together. He said he hoped you'd find someone to carry on after he was gone. He believed in you. He trusted you. And you failed him by trusting the wrong person. Her words cut deeper than anything else. She was right. I had failed James. I had let his killer into our lives, our business, our family. I had been so blind. I left Maya's apartment that day, knowing I could never undo the damage, but I could try to make amends. Over the next 6 months, I did what I promised. I paid all of Maya's legal fees. I set up an education fund for her and her brother. I gave her a settlement of $500,000. The city also settled with her for $1.2 million for wrongful arrest and prosecution. I went on local news. I talked to newspapers. I made sure everyone knew Maya Rodriguez was innocent and that she was a victim of elaborate frame-up. Slowly, her reputation began to recover. Queen's College readmitted her. She was able to continue her studies. Her brother Matteo graduated from Columbia that spring. I attended his graduation, sitting in the back, watching Maya cheer for him. I didn't approach them. I didn't think I had the right. Vanessa's trial took place 8 months after her arrest. The evidence was overwhelming. She was convicted of first-degree murder, attempted murder, fraud, and a dozen other charges. The judge sentenced her to life in prison without possibility of parole for 35 years. She would be 64 years old before she was eligible. I sat in that courtroom during sentencing. Vanessa looked at me once, her eyes cold. I did it for Michael, she said, when given a chance to speak. I did it to give us a future. You were never going to retire. You were going to work until you died, and Michael would never get what he deserved. I just accelerated the inevitable. The judge cut her off. Miss Park, you murdered an innocent man and attempted to murder another. You framed an innocent young woman and nearly destroyed her life. You did this out of greed and entitlement. You will spend the rest of your life paying for these crimes. As they led her away, she shouted back at me, You're weak, Robert. You were always weak. That's why James was the one who really ran things. You're nothing without him. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was weak. I had let her manipulate me. I had failed to protect James. I had failed to see the truth. After the trial, I made a decision. I sold Castellano Construction. I couldn't run it without James. Every day in that office was a reminder of what I'd lost, what I'd failed to protect. I sold it to one of our former employees who had always dreamed of owning a construction company. I sold it for $7.2 million. After taxes and legal fees, I walked away with about $5 million. I gave $1 million to James's sister, his only living relative. I gave $500,000 to Maya, in addition to what I'd already given her. I put $1 million in a trust for Michael. He was my son, and despite everything, I loved him. He had filed for divorce from Vanessa, was rebuilding his life. He deserved a fresh start. With what was left, I created something, the James Brennan Memorial Fund for wrongfully accused individuals. It provides legal defense funds for people who can't afford lawyers, people like Maya who get caught in the system. It provides compensation for those proven innocent after conviction. It provides job training and education for people whose lives were destroyed by false accusations. I asked Maya if she would help me administer the fund. I didn't expect her to say yes. But she did. Not because I forgive you, Mr. Castellano, she said, but because Mr. Brennan deserves to be remembered this way. He was a good man. This is a good thing. We meet once a month now, Maya and I, along with a board of directors, reviewing applications, choosing recipients, making sure the fund is doing good work. We don't talk about the past. We focus on the work. She graduated from Queens College last spring with highest honors in accounting. She's going to continue to grad school, working toward her CPA. She's going to be successful. She's going to be happy. And me, I'm 62 years old, living alone in my house in New Rochelle, trying to make peace with my failures. Michael and I have Sunday dinners now. We're rebuilding our relationship. He's seeing a therapist, dealing with the trauma of having been married to a murderer. We don't talk about Vanessa. There's nothing to say. Diego, the janitor who saved me, who showed me the truth, I made sure he was rewarded. I gave him $100,000 as thanks. He tried to refuse, said he was just doing what was right. But I insisted. He used the money to bring his daughter and her family from El Salvador to the United States, gave them a new start. At least something good came from this nightmare. I still think about James every day. I go to his grave once a week, sit there and talk to him. I tell him about the fund, about Maya's success, about Michael's recovery. I apologize over and over for failing him, for not seeing the danger, for trusting the wrong person. I don't know if he can hear me. I don't know if it matters. But I keep going. 3 weeks ago, I got a letter. It was from Vanessa, from prison. I almost threw it away without reading it. But something made me open it. It was short. Robert, I'm not sorry for what I did. I'm only sorry I failed. You were never going to give Michael what he deserved. You were never going to see his value. I did what I had to do. One day, maybe you'll understand. One day, maybe Michael will forgive me and see I did this for us. I'll wait. I read it twice. Then I walked to my fireplace. I held the letter over the flames and watched her words turn to ash. She was wrong. She would always be wrong. What she did wasn't love. It wasn't protection. It was evil. It was greed dressed up as devotion. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure people know the difference. I learned something from this nightmare. I learned that blood doesn't guarantee loyalty. I learned that the people closest to you can be the most dangerous. I learned that trust must be earned, not assumed. And I learned that when someone shows you who they really are, believe them, even if it destroys you to accept the truth. If you're watching this, ask yourself, would you have seen the warning signs? Would you have questioned the person you trusted? Or would you have done what I did, trusted blindly until it was too late? Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And if you've ever been betrayed by someone you loved, someone you trusted, please like and subscribe. Because these stories, they need to be told. They need to be heard. So that maybe, just maybe, someone else won't make the same mistakes I did.